Yes, boys. So today I'm going to be reviewing a closing call from Harvey. Now, Harvey's within multiply sales. He joined about a month ago with no sales experience. He was previously working construction in the UK. Since then, we've been able to train him up and place him into an offer in the first 30 days, which he's already made commission on, more than he obviously would be within, his previous job. So what I'm doing now is I want to get him to that 10, 8, 10, 12K a month in commission mark. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to review the call personally and I'm going to send it to him, but I'm also going to share it with you guys. So if you are closers, you're on a roll, you're not on a roll, you're just learning what remote sales is, you can take some advice from this. So yeah, let me jump.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you all good. Can you hear me all okay?
Yeah, how are you?
Perfect. I'm good, thank you, my man. You all okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you
So like from here, okay, the first thing you want to be doing, I know the rapport building is cool and all of that is amazing. Do not take a call or do not carry on taking a call if their camera is not on. I like to just make it a joke. It's very easy to be like, we're gonna be staring at myself for this call, something like that to break the ice, and it's quite good for the rapport building as well. But you can't do it. You can't take a call if their camera's not on. Simply for the fact that if my camera's not on right now, I can be looking at my phone, I can be not looking, and the closer won't be able to pick up on that. If someone's on a call and I see them texting, I'm like, hey man, do you need a minute? And it kind of gets that frame of like, oh no, I'm fine actually. Let me put my phone down. Then they don't try it again. They don't do that again. They're fully attentive. So there's key parts that could be missing if they don't have their camera on. So spin it backwards, make it easy, make sure they don't have it on. If they give you some type of excuse or they don't want to or it's not the right time, they're somewhere, just reschedule. In my opinion, like reschedule it. Don't bother taking it because they could be doing anything. Genuinely, they could be doing anything.
you're calling from Ohio today, am I right?
Yeah,
Nice, man. I've always wanted to go. I've never been. I live in Miami at the moment. I've moved from the UK to Miami and sort of touring America, but I'm loving it so far, man.
that's good.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, for
this
sure, man.
prospect here, this prospect here, you sometimes you have to understand prospects. This prospect, especially from the start, didn't care. Like he doesn't really care. He seems like someone that's, and this is where as well, like the camera not being on is difficult because he could have been on his phone during that interaction. So he may not have even heard what he was saying, which is why he paused and then went, nice, nice, right? But or he doesn't care. So in the report stage, you can build that, and I feel like Harvey's tried it, but from here, don't really bother. Let's go into stuff, right? This guy isn't here for all this sort of dilly dally chit chat. He's here. He seems like he's here for the actual, he's here for the call, right? He's not here to know about the life story, right?
And so I guess we'll just get straight into it.
I don't like we'll get straight into it. You want to set a frame. This is the perfect part here to set the frame. Not we'll get into it or something like that. Maybe he goes into it now. I'll let him speak.
Just to give you an idea of how this call's going to go, I'm really
Yeah, he does.
just going to ask you a few questions to find out where you're at as a company and sort of where you aim to be in the near future. And from that, I'll decide if we can help you or not. And if for whatever reason we can't, hopefully I can point you in the right direction. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah, I like that frame. The frame's good. This very key part that when you're transitioning from that rapport building to the actual discovery phase, you do just set that of like, look, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, find out where you're currently at, and then obviously find out your goals and where you're trying to go and kind of what's stopping you from getting there right now. I feel with Harvey, his tonality and the way that he says stuff could be a little bit better. It's very like the same, in sales, you want to have kind of changes like looking about, being curious and pausing and speaking in a type of way that isn't. So yeah, I'm going to ask you a few questions and I'm going to see where you want to go and if it's the right fit, then we can have. You want to be looking about, you want to be curious, you want to make it seem very authentic in the way that you're asking. So yeah, I would have liked the tonality to be a little bit different there, but the frame's good. Again, like I said, frame always wants to be like where you're currently at, and then obviously finding out where you want to go, what's currently kind of holding you back from getting there. And then if I believe that, this is a right fit, I'll show you what we do. If not, and I like to say this, if not, I'll try and give you as much value as possible. And what it kind of does is it kind of like makes them want to qualify for you. It's like, okay, this may like it lowers their guard. It's like, okay, I'm not going to get pitched no matter what. He's going to pitch me. And this is where the authentic frame comes in. You have to look about, you have to pause, you have to, you can't just say it in one monotone voice because you want to really emphasize that over so they know, okay, well, you know what, let me try qualify for this. Let me give them the information that they need, and then if not, I'll just get value and I won't have to pay, right? So it kind of just lowers their guard straight away. So I do like that question. Then sound fair enough. Classic sales, perfect, right?
Good.
Perfect, my man. So to begin with, what was your reason for booking the call today?
Yeah, so first question that you're always going to ask in a sales pitch is just what's the reason for booking on a call today? So yeah, perfect.
Well, I talked to Joseph, and I think it was Instagram that I seen your ads for the leads,
Yeah. Okay.
and right now, I'm trying to get a little bit more of people on my team, as a salesman,
Yeah.
and I want them, because I want my company to be a main source of door knocking. That's how I want to get the main source of leads. Um, but
Yeah.
it also works out as well because it like I was with this other company which they taught me how to do the insurance process and how to door knock. And particularly they were like really honest about door knocking, 100 to 200 doors a day,
Right.
and half of like so I was in one team, so there was.
One thing that's key, I've already looked at a little bit of this call. Like one thing that's key, and I know it comes back to kind of bite him later, is writing stuff down. Like I'm writing stuff as we go down because I know that if I don't, how am I going to be able to objection handle at the end? How am I going to have to be able to reframe stuff? Because it's very key right now that we understand, and I've written down, okay, he's come from Yosef, he's come from an ad, and he's looking for more people to door knock. I need to know that, okay? And it doesn't seem like Harvey's writing anything down. He may be, but it doesn't seem like it. So make sure you're always writing. Like I have a full journal. I'm using a different book here, but like I have a full journal always. You're just writing down as much as you can because you're going to be using this later. So that's just something to look out for. It doesn't seem like he's looking at it. So yeah.
There was like 4 or 5 teams of 20 people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually, how that worked was it's all basically luck. Like if you go out there and you knock, 120, 200 doors, you
Yeah.
might get no's, all day just because, it all depends on the luck. But
Yeah.
if
So sorry to interrupt. So these people you were door knocking, so these were completely cold.
Don't interrupt a prospect. I think that was probably a bit too early. I know Harvey had a question, but we want him to speak. We want him to speak. We want to know what he was about to say. It could have really brought something in that we could have used. What he's saying, I believe, is what I can kind of interpret so far, and I assume Harvey's trying to ask this is he's looking for more leads, and he has a team that door knocks 100 to 200 doors, and they could potentially not get a lead. They could potentially not close anything. So I assume he's saying, like, okay, that probably isn't the method right now. I want a new way of finding clients, okay? That's not going to work. And this is very, very important to understand this. This seems like he's paying. We'll obviously dig more into it. And again, in the discovery, this is why it's so important to write stuff down because I understand now 100, 200 door knocks. Is his pain is the fact that he has people that are door knocking and they potentially could not get leads. It's luck. Okay, it's pure luck, and he wants a more consistent and predictable way to get leads. Instantly, he's told us he's paying. We now need to only ask questions, and I don't know what Harvey's about to ask, but we now need questions that just bring the discovery along. We don't want to push it back, ask more, and just keep it in the same spot. Every question should really push us in the next space.
Oh, there was no sort of beforehand lead on them. You were just simply going around asking if they needed work doing.
yeah, so when we would order, we would be like, hey, my name is such and such. I'm with company X. We would just like to give you a free inspection. I mean, some of them would say yes, some of them would say, good, no, I'm over right here now. And there were some times where we were in good areas and we would just, maybe it wasn't the right time to door knock, or
Yeah,
someone
sure.
having a bad day and they would tell us to fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's completely understandable.
And there's going to be big pain in that, right? No one wants to. Again, the reason why he's on this call is for leads. That's the offer, right? To get him more leads. The reason he's on here is because he's having a pain of knocking 200 doors and people saying no, knocking 200 doors and people telling him to fuck off. That is not what you want. And that type of pain is like, I want to get out of that. So if we could really help him push towards something else, really understand what it looks like if he was running our system, which wasn't door knocking, which was bringing leads that were actually interested. And I think if Harvey doesn't convey that within the rest of this call, it's going to go left, in my opinion.
level. So was this your only method of outreach at the time? Are you still doing that now? How are you sort of getting jobs now?
Right now, yeah, it's just been door knocking.
Okay, I do like that question from Harvey because it again still moves it forward. It's asking, right, so is there anything else you're doing? Like, really getting that discovery and really understanding, like, is there anything else? No, we know he's only doing this door knocking, which is perfect. We're really isolating the pain that we can obviously then go and dig into.
Especially with these recent storms that happened in Ohio.
Yeah.
Everybody's eager to get that free inspection just because we do offer it. It's completely free, complimentary free inspection. We don't charge for anything. We go up there and see if there's
Okay.
damage.
One objection that could arise, he's just said there. Right now, it's going well because the storms in Ohio. I can't say it. Because the storms in Ohio, he's going to get a lot of people that want inspections in the home. That's fine. That is an objection that he could pull out later for saying he doesn't want it, right? Or could retry and schedule. But we need to understand, and this is where we need to frame in the discovery now. And this is where you pick out key parts. Is why it's so important to write stuff down. This is only going to last for a certain period until the storms. Like, I'd joke and ask him genuinely, like, okay, so let's say, the storms are done. Once the storms are done and no one needs inspections, are you going back to the 200 door knockings a day and potentially not getting any leads? Yeah. So he understands because he's just said that in a way that's kind of already pre-objected it to a fact that he could object it later. Okay, so just keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Something that the insurance will buy out for. If
yeah.
The roof is not gonna last them another year or two. We advise that and we give them information from our professional opinion, and then we just give them a retail quote if they want to go with us. Good, if not,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing I love about insurance. Like, sorry to get a bit off track, but it's like both parties benefit from that. The homeowner gets.
There's no need for this. Okay, like it's cool. Like it seems right to build rapport. But this isn't moving anything forward. Like he understands why insurance is great. He knows why he's in it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the business. There's no need for this. I feel like this question or not question. This statement has happened because he doesn't really know what to say. He doesn't really know what to put. So this is why it's so important to write down because his question should have been about the storm. It should have been like, okay, so after that, are you going back to the door knocking? And then it would have moved the discovery forward. This question doesn't move us forward. It could potentially even move us back, okay? And this is so key what people do in the discovery. They jump forward, then they jump back. They jump forward, they jump back. You need to go on a steady path. Like at the start, cool, you can be collecting data and collecting discovery as much as possible to find out who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, what's wrong, everything like that. From there, it should be a gradual increase of right now, we're in the pain building. We've gone past the discovery. We understand it now. We're now in the pain building, finding out what do you do after these storms are, done. Like, do you go back to that? And really digging in more pain, even just asking more technical questions on, 200 door knocks. Are you struggling with obviously having people that stay? Because people door knocking, how much you pay, it's stuff like that. Like we need to find out more about that instead of saying insurance is good.
It's a new roof and doesn't have to pay out the insurance to it, and obviously you get work. So I think that system's really good if they can get insurance, especially with storms. I'm guessing there's storm coverage. Most of them covered by storms.
Yeah, so it's all hand in hand.
Like this question doesn't really need to be here, right?
But I mean, some insurance companies are a pain in the butt to work with because there's a massive storm and then they'll just call it wear and tear.
This is more now. It's kind of gone, and I feel like Harvey's lost his frame. And this is where the sales call will start going downhill. It's gone from this is my call, I'm going to take you on this, to they're kind of having like a boy conversation. Like, yeah, insurance is pretty good. Yeah. Do they have coverage? Like that it doesn't move us anywhere. So yeah, it's just right now we've kind of lost the discovery.
And then the whole thing, and you'll sit there, finding them for 3 months, 6 months, and then after a year, probably get approved.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of like a loophole, really, isn't it? It's a bit of a shame. So with this door, how many people are you sort of sending out to do this door knock? What's the sort of system? Is it costing you money? Do they get paid if you get successful appointments? How does it sort of work?
So how that?
Okay, he's kind of looped back into it there. I don't mind. I think finding more out about the actual door knockers is good because we have a little bit of pain, but we still want to dig into a little bit more is it the pain of the people? Is it a stressful system? I still do feel like there is pain to be uncovered. So this is fine.
That works is they get paid if they get a contract signed. Now sometimes I do with gas or something. just keep them a little bit more,
Yeah.
and not them, spending too much out of their pocket. So
Yeah.
a little, quick gas money helps. And I mean, if you get a contract signed, I pay them out. My starting rate is, 30% of commission.
Okay.
They get 70%. Just depending if they're starting off, I like to give them everything up front just to get them motivated and get them a little bit more money in their pocket, just so they can go out and
Yeah.
keep talking for and spending money on gas.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you say, if you're just getting no's all day, it's
Like that is big. That is very big. He's given 50 to 70% and even fully on their first couple deals because obviously, like Harvey's about to say, which yeah, I mean, like knocking doors is stressful, especially if you're knocking 200 doors and you're not getting a close. This is key. 50 to 70% margin he's losing. So our questions now can be off the back of, if there was a system that could generate you leads and you'd have to pay 10%. And this is where we can start moving into the goal setting and kind of like the future thinking. So we had a system to bring you, leads, aren't going to say fuck off every 5 seconds and you're going to be paying 10 to 15% for that lead. Is that something that would be that would help you? Like, is that going to make you more money? Is that going to, is that going to generate you more leads? Is that going to make you yeah, it is. Okay, well, cool. This is a system for you, right? Like, I feel like that's very big to dig into now. So hopefully Harvey does dig into that.
it does become disheartening. So I completely understand that from their point of view. And so, sort of, how many people?
So, like, again, is where Harvey's lost the frame a little bit. Understanding what they've said is cool. Saying it back can be cool. But it doesn't really mean anything, okay? Like, again, there, with the tonality and what you're saying, I would have been like, wow, 50 to 70%, and then gone into the next question. Build them, like, dig in little parts where you're starting to build that. It's like, wow, 50 to 70%, and then ask the next question. And then that's going to start ingraining in their head like, whoa, it's 50, 70% a lot. And then when we say later, yeah, so there's a system that we have that's going to generate you the same like inbound leads that are warm that I'm going to tell you to fuck off. And it's not going to be your door knocking out of 200 people and giving them gas money and 70%. You're giving them 10 to 15%. And they're coming to you. And then it's like, wow. Instead of like, he'll probably come with an objection.
Do you send it out to do this?
Just one right now.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah, just one.
Trying to work out the cost effectivity of it, seeing.
Okay, one's not bad. I don't mind that question because, again, we're still kind of in that discovery. So it's one person at 50 to 70% knocking 200 doors. There's so many pain points behind this that we can dig into. One, the fact that if this one guy leaves, his whole business fails. He doesn't have a business without this one guy. And if he just randomly decides to quit or he gets ill, your business is over. You're making $0. That's a good one. That's a good one that we can obviously leverage. The fact, again, obviously 50 was 70%, but also this isn't scalable. How long have you had one person for? Okay, cool. So let's say, for example, he's had the one person for a year. Okay, so in a year, your revenue has stayed exactly the same because it's the same one person knocking doors. Yeah, okay. And what is your goal revenue like? What's your aim to get there? Okay, to do that, you'd need 5, 6 door knockers, right? Do you reckon that's sustainable and fulfillable, putting them all at 50 to 70%? I know you scale, but, do the margins something you want to be working on? Then you can go from there. I feel like there's a better angle than the angle that we're currently going with.
Do you find it cost effective, or what's the sort of situation with that? Is it
cost effective? Like, Harvey's asking the cost effective question when we know it's not. 50 to 70%. Like, this is a question that if Harvey would have understood, like, wow, 50 to 70%, he could have dug in the pain instead of asking the question.
New or not really?
It is. But it's a little bit way more profit if I get a deal because I take everything and I don't have to pay out for it.
Cool. So again, Harvey could have dug into this because this guy seems like he doesn't have a problem, right? He's one of them people where you hop on a call and they don't think they've got a problem until you show them the problem. And Harvey needs to identify this, and you'll get better at this as you have more calls with people. This guy is very blunt, very straight to the point, very results driven, and has not an ego, but is kind of what's the word? He's kind of naive to the fact that this business is not working. He's got one employee, and if he leaves, his business is over. Harvey needs to really ingrain that. And these are the prospects you have to be upfront with. You have to be open with. Because if you're not, then you're never going to get anywhere. So allowing him to say, yeah, it's cost effective when he's given up 50 to 70%. And then he's also contradicted himself. He's like, not contradicted, but it's like, but if I got it, then I'd have a lot more profit. Okay, well, if we lowered that 70% to 10%, would you have a lot more profit? Yeah, okay, well, there we go, right?
For any commission.
Mm.
But how we price is we give so when we go through the insurance process, with the company that I was with, they take everything that insurance paid out.
Yeah.
And in some situations, I feel the need that it does require all the money that insurance sends out. But then there's sometimes where insurance pays out way more than we expect, and we end up taking everything.
It's luck.
Yeah.
Business is purely on luck, okay? This isn't a business. And like I said, we have to dig into this. This is another key point. Sometimes they break even. Sometimes the insurance pays out what it costs. Sometimes they get lucky. So their business is off. And again, this should be very clear to explain to them, right? It just the question of like, and this is good to do it like when you question in like a negative tonality. If you're like nearer the end of this discovery phase, at the end of the discovery, we want to kind of find out where they want to go. So like, okay, so what is your goals with this? X, Y, and Z. And then at the end, when we go from the discovery, from the discovery to the goal, we found out their goal and where they want to take this because they need some ambition to go somewhere in the future. We then bring it back, and I like to ask a question. I know we're not there yet, and Harvey may do it, but a question like, and you just read all of this information back to them, and then it kind of clicks in their head. So right now, let me just get this clear. 100 to 200 door knocks, and you potentially get a no, and probably getting someone tell you to fuck off. Right now, when the storms go and you're back to normal, the door knocking and the reply rate drops drastically. You have one person who takes 50 to 70% and technically all of it, unless you get lucky on the insurance. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. And then we can link it back to their goal. So if he says my goal is to make 100K, you could then start to dig into the fact of, okay, well, this is never going to work. How many doors do you have to knock? How many people do you have to hire? How many storms do you have to have for this to work? And then it's going to be like, wait, okay, maybe this doesn't work. And then they're a lot more open to your solution. Again, I don't know where Harvey's going to take this, but it's just letting him know for that.
So the way that I do things is when I get an insurance job and insurance pays out way more than they should, I give them a set price, and whatever that set price is going to cost is what's going to cost, and then whatever they have extra, this for them to keep. And it's just actually like a better you could say like a good incentive that my company does. Because usually, like other companies take everything, so that's what gives me a little bit more leisure for them to come with me instead of going with another company. Is that at the end of the day, if insurance pays out way more than they should, they get at least some money from me taking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of big companies would just take a whole lot, like you say. I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, Harvey does this way too much. Harvey it just re-says back what he's saying, which doesn't move it anywhere, but he says it in the same tonality, and he kind of agrees with him. Like the problem is he's agreeing with him. And he's not digging any pain. Like back when he was like a couple questions, guys, is the key example. When he was like 50, 70% or something, he just said it back to him instead of like, okay, yeah, whatever. Instead of going 50 to 70%. Wow, okay. And then going from there. So it's really about your tonality and how you dig into stuff instead of being like, yeah, no, I agree. Because so far, all that we've got from this call, from both of these, if I was on this call and I was sitting in a chair and I was just like watching it from like a third, like I am now, I'm just like, these guys know each other, but it's like Harvey doesn't want him to buy. He doesn't really care if he buys or doesn't buy. It's a very friendly kind of conversation, and there's no pain digging in. And sometimes you do have to be honest, and you don't have to be rude, but you have to dig in that pain. You have to be honest with them. There's so many times right now, and this is why it probably won't lead to a sale, and I can already tell, like, this guy's going to have so many objections at the end because it felt like the whole time that Harvey was on his side. It felt the whole time that Harvey agreed with what he was saying. Oh, no, wow, you did better than the other companies. No, bro, these other companies are making millions of dollars. They're not relying on storms. They're not having one person door-to-door knocking. They've got a system, which I'm like, there's no need to agree.
Yeah.
Yes. So, how many people have you currently got working for you?
He's already. I swear, you already asked this.
So as like selling, just me and this one person.
Yeah.
What about actually contracting on the tools?
Actually doing the labor, I personally have.
Clear questions. You gotta be clear. You gotta be clear, especially when it can be interpreted differently. It kind of just lowers your authority. It lowers your perception. If you have to then clarify it after, just clarify it straight away. It's just a very small thing, but just make sure you clarify it straight away. Like I'd be like, So I know you have one person selling for you right now. How many contractors do you currently have? So then it's just a small thing, but it helps.
I have my own crew. I don't subcontract or anything.
Okay.
I have, I can, it just really depends on how big the job is. The smaller jobs I only take, 4, 5 guys. And then just with like, bigger jobs, it takes 6, 8. And then, the bigger jobs, I'm talking about, mansions, I usually take, 15 to 20 people just because
Yeah.
I can make sure it can get done in a day.
Just making it effective as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't think you really answered the question. Because this is a key one to know, okay? Especially if he gives us an objection later, like I can't take on more jobs. We need to know right now how many people he has contracted and how long that takes. It's kind of key information that we need to know and kind of in the discovery phase, right? Is how many people do you have in the back end to deliver on this? Because no matter what we say now, let's say, because he didn't really answer, let's say he has, I know he said like 20 people for a mansion, but like, does that mean he has 20 people? And also, does it mean that if we get him one mansion client, he's not going to be able to deliver? Like, we need to understand this because otherwise he's not going to be able to even take on more jobs and he's going to give us that objection.
how many jobs are you currently taking on a month?
Right now, it varies. Like this month, we're probably going to be doing, 10 or 15 just because of the storm.
Okay.
But last month, we probably only did like 8, 5 days.
Perfect. Again, back to this storm point. This is where we need to dig in. 10 to 15 currently with the storm, but he knows he goes straight down to 8 when there's no storm. And like I said, what are we going to do? Rely on God to bring us a storm? It's not going to work, right? So we need to make that very clear with him.
Yeah, 5, 8, 10 roofs a month. And
Okay.
I want to get to the point where I'm doing, 20 to 30 roofs a month.
Perfect. Right, Harvey needs to put this down.
I want to get to the point where I'm doing, 20 to 30 roofs a month.
He's already given us where he wants to go. Bro, this guy is taking the call for us. 20 to 30. He's at 10 to 15 in the storms, which we can't rely on. He's at 8 when there's no storm. He said like 5 to 8. And he wants to get to 20 to 30. What is this clear objection that we need to present? The fact he has one salesperson who's knocking 200 doors, who you're giving 50 to 70% to. This is like a no-brainer. But if this won't close because it's not Harvey's not digging this in.
Okay, so how do you think you're going to be able to get from the 15 at the moment to the 20 to 30? Sort of just outreach? How are you planning on getting to that? Because that's quite a significant increase in work.
Yes.
I'm not the biggest fan of the question of how do you think you're going to do it. I prefer holding them accountable. That's too much of like a flitzy question. I prefer just asking like, okay, cool, you want to get to 20 to 30? Why are you not there now? And they're going to try and give you some bullshit reason, and then we can cut that reason off, and then they're not going to give it to us as an objection. Okay, so ask that as more of a formal question instead of like, oh, how do you think you're going to do it? Because they're going to give you some made up bullshit answer that is never going to work. Oh, well, I'm going to hire one more sales guy. They're going to knock 100 doors, and I'm going to increase by this. That's not reality. It's not how it's going to. Why are you not doing that right now? Because anyone can build fairyland. That's not hard. Like, I can build fairyland right now. I can say like, okay, I'm gonna take this company. I don't know, this company that I take on. Let's say it's at 10K. I can take it to 100K by technically just doing 10x what this is. But that's not how anything works. And as soon as we've got them into a mindset of how do you think this is gonna work, they're gonna be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna hire 2 more people. Oh, I've solved the problem. Cheers, thanks for the call. I really appreciate that. Let me leave it. And you've lost the call right there. We need to be asking a very simple, why are you not there now? And like I said, they'll give you some bullshit excuse. We can't really find more salesmen. So that's their problem. They can't find more salesmen. So instead of saying, we'll get more salesmen, then because they're thinking about it and what they would do, they're like, well, I'm not there now because I've tried to hire a couple more salesmen, but no one's taking it on. It's not really scalable with the profit. That's a better aimed question. Like that's just the way the question is not framed right at all.
So the way I want to do that is I want to get hire more reps.
Exactly.
And then
exactly what I just said. We've lost the call. The call's done. The call's gone. Like that's bro.
how if I do find a good lead company that can generate leads for me.
Okay.
That works as well. That's great. So he is in the. This is the problem though. The reason Harvey's asking this guy's, like I said, selling himself. He's already said, oh, but I want to get 20 to 30. Oh, I'll hire a lead company. Yeah, you're on a call with a lead company right now, right? But if it would have been asked in the right way, it would have been a lot more pain digging into that. But he's just said, I'll just hire more salespeople. That's exactly what I said was going to go wrong.
Off and give them one lead so they can go ahead and already feel confident enough to go and see. I'm obviously gonna train them on how to close, how to talk, or what the roofing industry is all about. But I want to give them at least one lead generated so they could go ahead and get one deal. What I mean, as starting off. I don't want them to, because with the other company I was at, we started off just going door knocking, just spending gas money. And sometimes we did get something, but we still had to wait at least a month or two to get paid.
Again, this is pain. This is so much pain. This is the easiest close of all time. 1 to 2 months. It sometimes took him 1 to 2 months to get a job. 1 to 2 months with people just door knocking gas. You're not gonna run a company like that.
But the way I want to do it is I want to give them a generated lead for them to get paid quick as possible.
I don't know if I can do this. I want to give them a generated lead to my sales guys. It's exactly what the offer is, by the way. He's literally asking for the offer. He's asking, can I have this offer?
Yeah, of course. You want to help them out. I mean, to begin with, door knocking's really not a bad method of out.
No. So we're again, the problem is every single time we're siding with him. We're siding with him on every question. Every question, like we're instantly starting. Yeah, no, you know what, door knocking. But then it reiterates, it's like, yeah, door knocking isn't that bad. I'll just hire 2 more people. No, like the math here is awful. This is not a sustainable company. And we need to, and like I said, we need to portray that. But yeah.
Outreach, especially if you're just starting out, don't get me wrong, it can be really harsh, but it also teaches you. And if you start off with something like that, when it comes to getting qualified appointments and learning how to close, they'll already be one step ahead of that.
Yeah.
See there, you've lost the lead. The lead's gone. The lead's gone. The lead's gone. The lead's gone. Because you're siding with him. You're siding with him.
I do think that's a lot more effective than. Have you tried anything like Angie's leads?
Dave contacted me just because they say that I have a pristine
Nah. See, in that question, we should have dug as much pain as possible. And again, it's because the question before wasn't framed in the right way to then dig in even more pain. We have to generally ask him the question. Like, the questions from here should be loaded because we've found the discovery. Like, I've got a piece of paper here, right? Look, can you see that? You can see why the company is broken, like purely broken. If this is why Harvey needs to write stuff as well down. I can see it's so broken. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And he's asking for this. I want generated leads. I want 20 to 30. I want a lead generation company. But when you just start saying and side, like he's kind of selling them away. Yeah, no, you know what? Your door-to-door reps ain't that bad. It's actually a good way to scale. Yeah, I reckon you should just hire a couple more. And we're never going to get this out.
Record of not, messing up jobs or anything. And they wanted me to work for them. But
yeah, we do get a lot of contractors that are, so when we jump on these calls, they're like, oh, I've tried Angie's leads. It's not, Angie's is terrible, man. It's the
See, this is the thing. This is what comes with experience as well. Harvey's obviously set to a script, okay? And most of the calls that he gets on probably are with people that have tried Angie's leads and doesn't like them. That isn't this guy's problem. He's doing door-to-door knocking and doesn't like it. So you need to dig into that and then go into why get generated leads is so good.
The concept of it is so bad. Everyone's fighting for these leads that are being shared between multiple sort of contractors, and they're all fighting for it. And it's not even guaranteed that the work's actually needed doing, if you get me.
Yeah, and they told me, because, okay, so before, I know someone that uses Angie leads till this day. And this you can say sales woman was like, no, how Angie leads was back then is not how it is now. We only offer exclusive leads that only come to you and you only.
Mm-hmm.
But then I talked to the guy that I know that still uses Angie leads, and he's like, no, that's what they tell you. But then when you're ready to go and call the homeowner, they'll be like, yeah, we're just getting one more bid. I mean, if you want to come out and get one more bid,
yeah,
I'm gonna go with. At the end of the day,
we're speaking about someone else's business now. Like, where are we in this government? We're speaking about someone else's business.
Yeah, I mean, it's really dependent on the systems they use. There are systems that are customized exactly to your company to get only you leads, but then there's also systems that, like you say, people say, oh, we're only getting you these leads, but they're being greedy by working with other companies to get them leads as well. So it looks like they're actually helping out both companies, but in reality, they're just shooting themselves in the foot by making their companies they work with fight for each other's leads.
Yeah, because the way they want to do it is that they want to get money off every company that they send that lead off.
Again, The problem is as well, like they're both now in just a boy conversation on the fact of like he's giving insight on it, he's giving his opinion. They're just both giving their opinions, but that doesn't get anywhere. We need we need we need direct questions and answers. This doesn't get us anywhere.
Of course, yeah.
Because if once you talk to that homeowner, they'll
problem
claim
is-
it as like
I'll
you
let
already
you
have
know.
that lead.
Mhm.
So imagine they charge
This was set to
X amount of dollars for
Is it
one lead
like-
that you already talked to. Now imagine getting that for
This
each
was
company that
far
already talked to. That's
stages
10
ago,
times, the
which is
work that
why
they're
we're
already
this
coming in.
position here.
Exactly. It's just greedy, really. But it makes the company look good because they're bringing you loads of leads. But in reality, they're such low
Like,
quality
we're
leads that
here now
it's
just
actually
having a
really not
conversation.
beneficial to the client.
Yeah, and so
It's a shame it's like that, but
They're just boys
yeah,
now.
some companies are just out there to do that. So, on to my next question. What did your revenue sort of look like last year?
We can't loop this whole thing and then just go back into discovery. It's too weird of a. It just doesn't make sense. The revenue question's great, but ages ago. And also, the revenue question doesn't really matter 100% because he's talked about jobs. He says, I get 8 jobs and I want 30. That's what we should be talking about now. And it is why we should be talking about why we need a lead generation system to generate that many leads. And you're not going to be able to do that with door knocking based on the math that he's told us 200 people and they say no. How many doors are you going to knock? So, like, yeah, this is a kind of like a pointless question. Because they're speaking in terms of jobs, which is in terms of revenue. So it's just kind of a pointless question.
If you don't mind me asking.
So last year I really didn't do any of you could say doing jobs for myself just because I was freshly starting out and I didn't want to, for my business to fail within a year. So what I did was I just subcontracted all last year. But then around December I was like, I kind of want to learn, the insurance policy because all the companies I was working with, they were all getting insurance jobs.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, and then they would talk to me, be like, hey, I just got paid, X amount of dollars for this job. With the companies I really got close with, and they would tell me, they're like, yeah, like this is what insurance pays out. Like it's really easy to work with insurance. But in my head, I really was like really close minded. And I was like, no, insurance is so hard.
Mhm.
So around December, I decided, I'm just gonna join reach out to a company, see if they can help me, teach me the insurance process, how to door knock, how to do everything. And I did find one, and they taught me everything. And when I realized it, it's like super easy. The only hard thing is, fighting and making sure you know how to use your words and the codes that you have to use.
Yeah, exactly. It's all just like you say, you've got them little benefits in place, like if insurance pay out too much, you'll give the client back. Them little things really do make a difference.
Again, he keeps doing this, and beginners do this a lot. And it's not fine, but like I see beginners do this all the time, and I feel like I'm ripping into Harvey a little bit, but he'll like this. He'll get a lot of value from this. You don't want to be a salesman in the fact of like when people come into this, you don't want to be a salesman. You don't want to be that guy. So you start just agreeing with them. You start just be like I said earlier, this guy knows insurance is good. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in it. He wouldn't be working with we wouldn't be working with insurance companies to get his contract. He wouldn't be doing that. So like, I don't get where this takes us. This doesn't take us anywhere. And again, the middle to then then back to a question about something that we already kind of know. Like the revenue question wasn't needed. Like we already know what they're doing, where they want to go, how many generated leads. All we have to do now is all Harvey has to do is dig into pain. There's nothing else more that he can do at this point.
Yeah, I know because I've had a couple, jobs you could say I've taken from other companies, like the big companies.
Yeah.
Just because the fact that I allow them, to just set a set price and whatever insurance paid out. And I'll cover anything. Now, sometimes, there's so many wood that we have to replace. It's like out of even the, price per square that I put out. So that doesn't come out of insurance. I mean, out of the homeowner.
Yep.
I just reach out to the insurance company like, hey, you guys have to pay out for this because of this and this and that. And the way that insurance works, I don't know if you know how the insurance process works.
Not completely. I'm a bit familiar with the scheme, but not completely.
Yeah. So like, when you get it approved, that's kind of
like the problem, and this is what I said, Harvey's lost the frame, and this is why frame is so important, because now this is just turned into an insurance lesson. That's all this is turned into. Is like, do you know insurance? Okay, let me explain it. But why? Harvey doesn't need to know. He's not selling insurance. He's not getting into insurance. He doesn't care about insurance. But he's lost the frame. Okay, and this is why it's so important to hold the frame and make sure that you're always leading the sales call, or you end up with situations like this.
first.
He's about to get lectured what insurance is.
It's called a front end check.
Right.
So they send half and half. So first you get first half. that insurance pays out. Let's say I have to, finish a job, so I have to pay out of my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. You want
Harvey shouldn't care either.
to cover all upfront costs at a minimum, really.
And that's just how insurance works.
Yeah.
And again, too much just agreeing.
Yeah, I mean, from what it does sound like you've got the right infrastructure in place to get there. You're just struggling on the client acquisition, if I'm right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you say you've been contracting for yourself only since the start of December, was it? That's correct, right?
Again, we've gone back into this, but like it's too far late. It's too far gone to kind of loop it back. He said like, oh, your problem's client acquisition, but we haven't dug into what part of client acquisition. When I've got about 8 reasons here I would be digging into. The 50 to 70%, the fact that they have to rely on storms, the fact they've got one door-to-door knocker that out of every 200 doesn't even get a yes and gets told to fuck off. It takes 1 to 2 months to close a lead when door knocking. Is there any like this? Like he wants to get to 20 to 30, he's never going to do that. Right now he's doing 8. So like Harvey knows there's a problem with client acquisition. The client knows there's a problem with client acquisition, which is why they're on the call, but they don't know why. We've dug into no substance. We've not dug into anything, right? So it doesn't mean anything. Client acquisition. Okay, I want more clients. You want our main company this month. We're gonna cross like 80K this month. I want more clients, but what's my issue? You got to dig that out. You got to find that out. So no one's going to pitch me and say, you got a problem with client acquisition. Yeah, because I'm not doing 100 mil a day. Like what? Like what is it?
Yeah.
So in the time up until now, what is your
This
revenue?
guy's unsure. Did you say? He's asked another revenue question. And again, this is where like I said, it comes with just being unexperienced. You don't know what to ask. And again, this is what happens when you don't write stuff down. Because I now have, and it sounds weird, but like I have like if I was on this call, I have a fully loaded AK-47 for any objection, for anything. You want 20 to 30 calls, leads, jobs, sorry. Yeah. You're currently at 8. Yeah. You're one door. Again, I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm literally just reading off of what I've written down. Sales is so simple. Like it's one of the most simple things. All you have to do is get the balls to ask the hard questions, keep frame the whole time, and write stuff down. That's all it is.
If I had to guess, it would be around 80 to 100.
This doesn't matter. This just doesn't matter. Like I know a lot of people ask it. What's your rev? What rev are you trying to get to? We're speaking in points of leads. He has 8 leads. He wants 30. He's already told you his goals, and because Harvey's probably going to ask like, "What's your goal?" If he asks this, then
okay. So we're halfway into the year, aren't we? So going to the other half of the year, come the end of the year, where would you sort of?
Yeah, we've already done this, but Harvey couldn't translate it into what he was saying. He couldn't translate leads as his pain and his future. So now he's trying to turn it into revenue, but we've already answered it with leads. So now we're just going over the same conversation.
We'll hope it's a bit.
Very key. Not every metric is revenue. And this is very, very key for all of you. Not every single metric is revenue. If they give you another source, which they have generated leads, go with that. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Hoping to be, around 400, 500.
So he said, okay, I made 100K so far, which is 8 leads. I want to get to 500. Okay, well, you're timesing it by 5. I want to get to that 30, 40 lead mark. We've already worked that out. We know that. We know that.
Okay, that's reasonable. Do you think that's possible if you don't make a change and you carry on with this door knocking that you're doing?
Yeah. Like I said, but I would. That's why I'm right now looking for a good lead company. Like I said, because I want to get more.
And this is where the pain hasn't dug in enough. He went, yeah. So he still thinks in his mind this is viable because Harvey hasn't dug in pain. And this way the call, I could put my entire net worth down. This call can't close. It can't close. You can't get a deposit. You can't get a yes. You can't follow up. You can't do nothing. This is gone. Because he still thinks this will work. And as soon as you have someone who thinks what they're doing right now will work because you haven't been able to dig the pain, then you're never going to get the close. You might as well just end the call here because you're going to waste the rest of your time.
Salesmen on board, so I don't want them, to get bored.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
the way that what the other company was is that some people would like quit because they would just get bored of.
Okay, again, this is perfect. He's justifying it of, I kind of want a lead gen company because salespeople quit and get bored and get quit. Get bored and quit. It's because they're knocking 200 doors a day and they're getting leads in 1 to 2 months. He needs to know this. He's brainwashed himself, and the goal with Harvey is to unbrainwash him and be straight up with him. Sure, would you reckon, like, generally just ask it back, do you reckon you'd get bored, knocking 200 doors a day and, getting leads, 1 to 2 months down the line? Yeah. So do you reckon if you tried to scale on this and maybe got another 2 to 3 people knocking the same kind of doors, you'd probably run into the same boredom and quit problem? Yeah. So if it's not possible to kind of hire more people and really scale this without dealing with, people quitting because, knocking 200 doors like you said, and like I wouldn't do that. Do you think you can then hire the 3 people you need to get to 30 appointments a day? Or, sorry, 30 leads a month? No. That's all we need. That is simply all we need at this point in the call. That's all we need. But we're not going to get that.
Getting no's for a whole month.
Yeah.
And
the thing. It does numb your personality as well if you're just being told no.
This is Harvey's biggest weakness. This is his big the reason is, I can tell, like, when he would have closed calls before on this offer, he would have closed them with people that are quite boy-y. Like, yeah. This isn't going to work for much longer when you're speaking to a real B2B guy.
No, all the time. It's hard to take, like, for anyone. You can have such a strong mindset, but you're still going home from work every day getting all no's. So, yeah, if you had maybe some sort of qualification.
He's explaining it, but he's explaining it in the wrong way. He needs to question the client. Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. Do you reckon, if you were knocking 200 doors a day and getting no's, do you reckon you'd quit? Yeah. Okay. We need to put him in the shoes of these salespeople so he understands that this isn't sustainable and this isn't scalable.
System to pre-qualify these leads, I think it would massively help.
Yeah. So, like, if I want to, get more, if you get a lead, for each new member, and then they go out.
The problem is there isn't enough pain to ask that question. What he did there was right, but he's not built up to it. When he said, if he would have asked the question that I said, if he would have gone like, okay, 200 a day, would you get bored and would you quit? Yeah. Okay, but if you had leads coming to you, how many Harvey guarantees? I think it's like 40 appointments a month or something. I don't know how many it is, but let's say it's like, so if there was 2 leads coming to you a day that are warm and interested, do you reckon you'd be excited and ready to work with them leads and, stay on board and scale and really kind of build more people to do that? Do you reckon more people would be interested in that? Yeah. So now what we've done is we've understood that he can't scale because these salespeople are going to leave. And he's got and that's why he can't scale right now. But he can scale. You're just attaching. You can't scale because of this. You can scale with our solution. That's as simple as it needs to be.
Like, obviously, I'm going to go with them and help them
sure.
just so they can learn. So whenever, they're out there by themselves, they know what to do, they know how to do it, and they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, your idea for the whole system is completely there. It's just getting the actual idea into real life.
Yes.
That's what we need to work on. So, my other question for you is going to be: so if you did implement something like this, what do you think your revenue could look like? So you want 400k, but if you were to implement,
he doesn't know the system. This is a pointless question because he doesn't know. This is like me asking, I don't know, let's say you guys have, I don't know what like a good idea of this would be, but like, it could be anything. It could be like, let's say a new haircut, for example. It'd be like, yeah, so if you did get the new curtains, do you think you'd look good? I don't know. I haven't tried it. I don't know what they look like. What do you mean? Like, what? Like, it's not going to work.
That lead generation service that was effective, what do you then think your revenue could look like come the end of the year?
Come the end of the year,
it needs to be more direct, and he needs to understand. Okay, we need to reframe it. Okay, if we got you 2 qualified appointments a day, speaking to your sales guys who are warm, who are interested, who are ready to get going, what do you reckon your revenue could now look like in the next and then go from there. But framing it with our offer, framing it in like, look, if there was a lead generation system, how much do you reckon you could make? I don't know. Like, but if our lead generation could generate 2 warm leads a day, or whatever it is, 5 warm leads a day, 10 warm leads a day, because he's saying, because this is what we need to work out of 200 doors knocked. We should have probably asked a question there, like, okay, out of 200, you're not going to get a no. So how many doors do they knock a day, and how many no's do the yeses they get? Because this is the pain. He's not going to be able to scale with these salespeople.
Probably hit 700, 800.
Wow. So with a client acquisition company, you think you could double your revenue? I mean, that's very doable, but like that's incredible, isn't it? Like when you think about it, to double.
It's not double, because he said his revenue is 100K, and he said he wants to get to 800K. So this is where like writing down as well was key, because that's not what he said.
What you hope to get in revenue?
Yeah, because you also got to think about the way I learned the system as well. Is off of one homeowner, you could get maybe 3 or 4 homeowners.
As well, closers will think at this point, like, I'll actually have to ask Harvey. Like, he'll probably think like, yeah, I'm doing a good job because he's bringing forward. But he doesn't understand, like, looking at it from third-person perspective, like, how much he hasn't uncovered, how much he hasn't dug into. Like, he's like, this guy thinks a lead generation system's going to generate him 800K. But he's just saying words. Like, there's so much left to uncover that hasn't been uncovered yet, which is crucial.
Thinking, family members or, referrals, friends, family. So if a well homeowner, once you make, a good impression, you stand and you show them, your personality and you show them what you're about,
Yeah, that's the thing. And then from that, you'll get word of mouth jobs as well. It's really just like, once you get started and you start getting an inflow, it will just keep going and keep. Exactly. And it's so scalable. Like you said, once you start getting in more revenue, more generation, you can then get more people out closing, you can get more people working. And eventually you can work yourself up to that point where effectively, if you want to, you don't have to do nothing. Your company's earning you money.
But the problem is, like, saying that is cool. How do you know that that's his goal? Is that his goal? Like, does he want to be like? It's where as well. Goal asking is very key. You want to scale to 30 qualified appointments a day. I mean, we all have money, but why? Like, why? Like, what's the difference from you making 200K this year to wanting to make 600K this year? Like, what changes? Then you understand, oh, I want to spend more time with my family. Oh, I want to, a lot of people, like, for example, if Harvey said that to me, I wouldn't have to do anything. I'd be like, oh, I don't want that. Like, that's not my goal. Like, what do you mean? I'm just going to be bored. So you have to find out the reason behind this. Like, 20 to 30 appointments, why? Why not stay at 8? You're making money. What do you want? Is it, are they driven? They're going to be driven by a couple of different factors. Are they driven by status? The fact that they've been able to build this company? Are they driven by location freedom and time freedom? Being able to travel, being a free body, which this guy doesn't seem like he is. You know them people. They're very loud. They're very energetic. They're the type of people. Or free, are they just motivated by, again, this kind of ties into status, but just the money aspect, do they want more money to buy a bigger house? Do they want a bigger car? And this guy, in my opinion, is probably driven by status, ego, and money. So telling him that he doesn't have to is not really his goal. Why is he trying to do that? If we would have found out earlier, like I've spoken to prospects before on a call where I found out like they are purely driven by status. I remember speaking to this one guy who was like, look, I'll be totally honest with you, man. I want to get a Porsche. I want a big house. I want to spend time with my children. So at the end, when I was re-looping it back, and then I showed him why his system didn't work and why our system worked, and I tied the two together and I separated them. I literally just said, like, yeah, man, like, obviously your goal is to get to this, blah, 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 and this system's going to allow you to do that, and get your Porsche, get your big house, and yeah, just sit back with the children. How does that sound? So then you can go from there and lean on what they've already said.
You just putting in the hard work early on, and then you get to a point where you don't have to. That's everyone's dream, of course, man. That's where everyone wants.
It's not everyone's dream. And everyone's dream in this situation doesn't matter. This is about this guy's dream, right? You're on a call with him, which is why you have to understand that.
I don't take it as spending money ridiculously. I look at it as an investment.
Exactly that. That's what people struggle to see, I think, to begin with.
And again, we're just validating way too much. Way too much. This guy's literally like, the worst thing you can do as sales is speak too much, and speak too much about the wrong thing. This guy is, again, like, this guy's given Harvey so many chances, which is amazing. It's like, yeah, like, I see it as an investment. Cool. Great. He's not giving us an objection. He's just said, I see this as an investment. Amazing. Perfect. Let's move on from here. Don't reiterate. Yeah, no, a lot of people don't really see it as an investment. This is great that you see it as an investment. What's that doing? What is that doing?
It's an investment. For some people it's hard to see without it being right in front
I knew he was going to say it. See, like, you can just call what they're going to say. But no,
of you. But if you can see the vision as a business owner, it's such a good trait to have. If you can see the vision in front,
we're not trying to validate him.
Yeah.
No, it's just, spending money that's gonna make you money. I don't think that's what it
Exactly.
is. That's
the mindset to have. And like you said earlier, like when you
we're
looked
validating
into,
again.
do think we can help you as a company. So if you wouldn't mind, can you see me all okay?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Would you mind if I share my screen with you? I'll just run over some bits.
I'm not going to go into the pitch because I don't want to link his company's pitch and stuff like that. And I already know, like, no matter what he does, he can try an objection handle, like Jordan Belford. You can't come back from this because the discovery has been lost. So yeah, Harvey, I hope you enjoyed the grilling. For the rest of you, I hope you guys got a lot of insight from that. Reviewing your calls is very, very, very important. Obviously, I make sure to do as much as possible within multiply sales, and if not, I have our closing coaches and setting coaches review as much as possible, because reviewing calls is so important. Because right now, I know I'm going to send this to Harvey. Harvey's going to watch it, and he's going to be like, "Oh my god, what am I doing?" And I know next call he's going to close, because this here is a walkover close. I spoke to Harvey today, and he was telling me, "Oh, I'm not too sure about some of these leads, blah blah blah." This was a walkover close. He just didn't have the right setup for it, which is fine. Bro, he's been closing for a month. He's already made commission. Like, he's doing well. Like, working with us, he's doing well. But I can't wait now that he's going to see this, go from there. So, yeah, if you're someone who is a setter closer looking to get into the skill and you want one-on-one help from, me, my team at Multiply Sales, we're going to train and place you into a role. We literally trained him up and got him into a role, so he's now making commissions. Now he's going to make even more in commissions. Then click the link down below, or just reach out to me on Instagram, drop me a DM, ask me any questions. And yeah, apart from that, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys got a bunch of value out of that. I enjoy these grilling videos. So if any of you have maybe closing calls, or I'll just do more in Multiply Sales. So any of you boys in Multiply Sales, send over your call recordings. I think I might make a little series. Just grill everyone. It's fun. But yeah, I'll speak to you guys very soon, and peace.